Hello, guys. Welcome to the BT podcast. Um, my name is Put, and I'm here joined with Poon, Pop, and Dylan. We are the MUAC students in the biotechnology class for this school year. So, the topic that we are going to talk about today is a very recent and very relatable topic for you guys. So, as all of us know, that in today's world, for the past 2 years, it's been hard for us. And as for students, we would have to study online instead of on site. So we're basically not in class, sitting in front of computers, studying online with virtual study sources, as well as seeing teachers and friends on screen. So basically today we are going to talk about our initial experience when we first have to study online. So let's just get started with Pop. What is your experience for the first time that you were introduced to this online learning class stuff?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, 100%. So when online learning was first introduced to me, like back in when I was still in high school, I was a little bit shocked as to how it would be conducted. I don't really understand the mechanism of Zoom or online learning as a whole. Yes, I guess like in some aspects you could say, honestly, I was kind of worried that that the quality of my education would degrade b- due to the lack of socialization and the fact that peer-to-peer communication and peer-to-peer feedback was sort of limited at the start because initially everyone sort of hid behind their cameras and didn't really get themselves involved as much. So that really affected uh my initial experience with online learning, and that I think sort of made. And then I think as time sort of um progressed, when those things started to basically appear when like when that type of thing sort of became a bit more, you know, when people kept on hiding behind their cameras, kept on hiding behind their stuff, as time sort of went by, and the lack of socialization as that sort of went by, I think I lost my motivation. I lost the urge to want to learn. So I think you could argue that mentally I was sort of confined within my own barriers, and I wasn't willing to sort of you know I wasn't really motivated to do other external things.
Yeah.
However, oh wait, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it's just got a bit of a question. So yeah, I just want to know, like, when the first wave of pandemic hit your school, what did your school like do, or did it just immediately close and then you wait for them to open, or it's like everything is shut down, you have no studying with teacher and something like that, or it's like closed for 1 or 2 days or maybe 1 week and then they get right into online learning? What is it like for you?
From what I remember, I think when the pandemic hit, and then I think there was an announcement from the Ministry of Education, if I'm not wrong, of course, so don't quote me on this, that every school had to close down for like a significant period of time. And I think that's when the school decided to essentially start sending out emails to parents, to students that, okay, now we're going to reallocate all of our teaching to online, and online will be taking place 100%, and we would no longer be entering the campus, which was sort of yeah. I mean, it was a different experience as a whole.
Where you mind if I ask where do you study? But like, don't you don't have to say the name of the school, but like where, like around, or is it like
So
international school or something like that?
yeah, so I studied at an international school next to Gateway. I think you guys probably all have
Ah,
tabs
okay,
before.
okay, okay, cool.
So yeah.
Okay, we all know that, right? So so yeah, so what did most of your teachers use as like a a platform, a platform to connect with students to learn online.
I think the primary platform that we used was Google Meet, because I think my teachers were pretty incompetent to use Zoom or what is it called? Some other site that we can only use.
WebEx or Cisco
Yeah,
WebEx.
WebEx.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you know what? It kind of worked well. Like Google Meet was pretty responsive, and yeah.
But from my experience, I remember that for the first like couple of months, like Google was not obviously not prepared for this, and so
Yeah.
Google Meet was a bit lack was a bit lagging, and it was a bit of like audio issues and maybe some software issues because of how many people were using the Google Meet, and
Yeah,
it is
definitely.
like
Yeah.
and it is like really laggy, and sometimes it's like the latency is not quite there because the bandwidth is limited. And then I remember like a couple of months after they start to change from Google Meet as a business to become like Google, like just basically free for everyone to use, because at first it was like organizations only, something like that, like a I don't know. It's a team platform that is required like transactions to be able to use, and it just later became just normal Google Meet for everyone to use. So I think that's one of the main platforms in many schools. Also, I do think, and my teacher, weirdly enough, one of my teacher, only one in the school, managed to use Microsoft Teams. So yeah,
For real?
it's but it's significantly, in my opinion, really much better than just Google Meet, because I do think that because of the bandwidth is limited, the
Oh, yeah.
audio's quality is kind of like radio quality at times. It really is. But
Right.
oh yeah, and this is another interesting thing. What's your experience with the teachers who didn't really have good microphones or are not really good at computers, like the ones that don't use like the old school style? Let's just put it like this.
Yeah, for sure. I think every one of us can agree that we had teachers that were, that had problems with that don't really understand how to use technology at its fullest capacity, and are kind of lackluster with that side. But then I think, you know what, honestly, it kind of, I'm not gonna say pissed me off because I think it's a bit too far. But I think, yeah, I had teachers, especially one of my English teachers who didn't know how to share screen. So and he was talking over his presentation, explaining what he wanted us to do, but he was never able to share a screen. So I think that was, yeah, that was hilarious. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's because because no one expects this, right? So it's like old school teachers who are really good at explaining things in class using whiteboards and markers, things like that, and suddenly weeks later you have to be in front of computers that you can't even type it in, and it's pretty hilarious how at first we were just like, because in my experience, me too, there was like teachers who was really old school, like he's very old, he literally, it is so hilarious when it was the first online class with him. So this he, I don't want to say his name. So he's basically a history teacher, and he
Of course, it's always a history teacher.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
obvious.
it's
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
always the history teachers, but he's nice. Uh, he, let me just describe him as like he looks, and he's really similar to, do you know Master Roshi in Dragon Ball Z?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
the
yeah.
bald one with the beard, like that's him, like that's literally him, and it's like,
Yeah.
and he's the history teacher, so obviously, as he is the Master Roshi, he's quite old, and he can't really use technologies like, even before the pandemic happens, in the class he would just use his MacBook, like he types using his two fingers, like his index fingers, Yeah, he just
Oh.
used that to type.
Damn.
All right.
He has used that, and then when the online time comes, he literally can't join in the MacBook because his MacBook is so old. The microphone doesn't really exist or wants to work anymore. So he switched off from his MacBook, and then he joined in to his phone. The hilarious thing is when he talks, because he's in his phone, right? He can't share screens anyways because he doesn't know how. So he basically turned on his camera and walking like he's vlogging. He's like he talks to his camera and he walks around his house. Like basically we could see his living room, his table, his chairs, his books and his works, and it's pretty hilarious because it's like it's the first stages of the online learning in the pandemic where we can't really go out, isn't it? And but luckily it's history, and he uses his microphone for the phone, so it's kind of like on par because he can explain it really well. Like history is like we were learning like Napoleon stuff, like a French Revolution at the time, and it's like it's pretty crazy these aspects of not being ready for online class because we obviously all didn't know that this was going to happen. What about
honestly,
you, Poon?
I think I feel. Oh wait, I'm sorry for like intervening here, but I think I feel bad for. I think it depends as well as to like what subject a certain teacher teaches as well. Because like for example, like for math, for example, I think it's really hard to teach students math online. Okay, yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
yeah. You
What do you
talk
guys think about that?
like I think math is like it's on par. It's like it's not easy to teach and it's not very hard. Do you know why? Because talk about art, talk about paintings. I had painting class, and we basically watched the teacher paint,
Wow.
and it's like
Oh, I see.
okay, and it's
Yeah,
like
that
it is really confusing, and it's like hello, and my juniors, they literally have to for the ones that don't have instruments in the music class, because we would basically borrow it from the school during the class and study in that room, right? But now we're at home, and some may have pianos, may have violins because we're Asians, right? So so basically some had to just sit there, watch their friends or their teachers play, and it's like, how do you teach music when it's delays, latency, lags, Google Meet, and you have no instruments? That's like, that's the real big problem. At first, it's like, trust me, it's really bad. Like, what about you, Poon? What about you? What's your like initial experience, like overall, of the school?
For me, it's like the first time that the pandemic was hit, I I have a online class, but the first time that I think that it was a good thing because we don't have to go to school. We don't have to like wake up like early in the morning. But I
We
have
ain't early
found that
birds in it, yeah.
yeah
we ain't early birds here.
yeah
I think this early morning thing is honestly, I think I agree with all you guys with this early morning, with this, the fact that we don't have to wake up early and go to school, because
Yeah,
especially
that's the
after
benefit.
especially after like long hangover nights.
yeah
True. Yeah, true. Yeah, continue, Poon, continue.
yeah and it was like and then when the online class was started like when I was stuck for a while, I have found that my back was got hurt like so bad, and my eye was got like really sore.
Yeah, me too,
Yeah.
man, me too. Even now,
we had-
it's
Yeah.
really.
exactly.
I think I should go check in with the doctors. Like honestly,
yeah
I
I'm not gonna lie about it.
like so. Excuse me for off topic a bit, but
Are you sure?
for Sunday I went to a field trip it was like my bio class field trip, and
Yeah.
it's like we had to walk from 7 a.m. to 12. Imagine 5 hours walking,
Yeah. It's
and
crazy.
it's like I think I have a really bad back pain. Like it's like it keeps coming and it
Yeah.
stops, and when I take a break, like like when you walk for a while, your body starts to get used to it. But when the teacher took a break because he needs to explain like plants, animals, and
Oh.
stuff, it
Yeah.
starts getting hurt. It starts
Yeah.
getting hurt, and I think it's from online learning. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another like really bad point about sitting in front of your computers all day, because
Yeah.
it's like
Exactly. It's so bad.
really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And
What's the
then
other
like
things you
Honestly, I
experience?
think yeah,
yeah.
I agree with you guys. No, maybe because we're sitting in like one position. It sounds really like one position. Sounds a bit
Yeah, 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 yeah,
fake.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one position thing, because we literally have to sit in front of computers, right? And
Yeah.
and it's like for me it's 8 till 3 p.m. So it's quite long, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
it's pretty
Yes.
bad.
Same,
we yeah.
same, yeah, just same as me.
Yeah. So yeah, what about the issues that you might have with studying online?
Yeah, and I have found that a lot of my friends and especially me like got like lazy like more than before because we're sitting on our laptop or maybe like iPad, and then we just start to like open like maybe YouTube or listen some
Yeah, it's easy
Spotify
to get
something.
distracted,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. So it's very hard to like getting an attention on the class. Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty. It's because it's like you 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 just mix your place to work with your place to relax, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Because
Exactly.
because in front of your laptops, your iPads, your computers, at first it was like your time to relax, your time to play games with friends, time to
Yeah,
watch movies, Netflix, something like that, play
yeah,
social
yeah.
networking. But then it just became the place to you have to study also, and it's like by the time that you were studying, it's like might as well open some things, maybe
Yeah,
entertain
yeah,
myself because this class is so boring, something like that, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's what I
about
was
you, Dylan?
saying.
What about you? What's your
Well,
experience? Well, I know you're Chinese, so did you study in China or did you study here in Thailand?
well, I'm studying China, and well, I remember that I've been studied online for like almost 2 years, 2 years
Oh,
online studying,
whoa.
and really, at the first time, I got very interested in online classes, but after that, I think I just lose my passion.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Ev-
because at first it was like complete lockdown, isn't it?
yeah, but I went to Thailand before, studied there before, then I came back.
Oh,
And just like Poon said, I always like get up like 2 minutes before the class start. Then
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, sometimes I always studies in my living room, and once the computer meeting start, I sometimes I really want to just get back to that bed, sleep for a little
yeah,
while,
true, yeah, true.
mm-hmm,
just
yeah,
like uh, sticking on my phones. It's
yeah,
very hard to concentrate what is studying online. But I also remember that uh, I've met like some interesting teacher. Yeah,
yeah,
their class are so passionate and hilarious, just like Put said before. And I have my all passion and all my concentrate on that class. But uh, some class like math, physics, exactly. I had a physics class today, this term. Man, that class almost drive me crazy.
True.
It's
It's
so hard.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to learn. I think, yeah, as you mentioned, I think it's really important for the teachers too. If you get good teachers, it's no matter if you're online or on site, it's still like they still makes you want to study that class, isn't it? I You're talking about physics. In grade 11, I had a teacher who is really passionate about science, and he literally taught physics in a very interesting ways where he's because we can't have labs, isn't it? So he
Yeah.
literally take objects in his house and just literally try to replicate the physics that he's talking about in front of the camera. And it's really makes me feel like I would feel bad if I don't focus in this class. And it's like, and it is quite interesting as well because we got to at least we have something to see as a picture instead of just slides, isn't it?
Yeah, I
I feel
agree
like
with. Yeah.
I feel like I really enjoy like online learning when like we're assigned like a specific project, but then obviously the project is clear, but then you get that time in class to work on that project, and and there isn't a response, like there isn't a necessity for you to join the call. I feel like sometimes I actually like teachers that give you the autonomy to some extent,
Mm-hmm.
Oh
and
yeah, 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 yeah,
you can
yeah.
just go out
Yeah,
there and
yeah.
do whatever you want, but then like get the grades, and I feel like that's the most important aspect of it.
Yes.
Right.
Mm.
Okay, I just got an interesting thing to talk about. So, what do you think about the teachers who are very strict in online learning? Like, what's your experience with them?
Well, I think that that will be perfect. Yeah, a straight because they always want you to learn, and they put you into a very important position. They try to teach you,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't try to listen to them, they might punish you for like some reason. But I think that will be perfect for me, but also very
Mm-hmm.
hard for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel
What
like
about you, Pop? What about you? Yeah.
yeah, sorry. Like I feel like with teachers that are strict online, it's not so that they're strict, but I like teachers that provide like critical feedback rather than like just like like non. I don't like when teachers vent their frustration, their personal
Uh,
frustration on students.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't like that.
yeah. I don't like that too.
do you think teachers should be able to tell you that you can't go to the toilet, you can't go um, somewhere in your house? You think that's appropriate or not?
I think it's absurd. I think it's absurd. I don't think I don't understand why would one need to write in the comments or like basically turn on their mic to say, "Hey, sorry, I need to use my own bathroom." Like
Yeah,
what?
isn't
Yeah,
it?
I'm a human
It's,
being.
yeah.
I need
Because
to,
because it's our house, you know.
exactly.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
our house, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
I've met some of, but it's very few in my experience. I know about you guys, but there's like only one or two people that's like, no, you can't go to the toilet right now. Like, obviously, I'm not talking about when you're taking exams, but like in normal class time, I do think, and many other people, teachers also thinks that you don't have to tell me. It's your house, whatever you want. I mean, like that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Mm.
But for the ones that like sometimes just get a bit because they're OGs, right? They're the original type
Yeah,
of teachers who is like you have
yeah,
to request for
yeah. You have to
um
Here.
request.
yeah, you have to make requests in your
Yeah.
if it's normal class time, you have to
Mm.
tell them first that may I go to the toilet please, and they will let you go there, and then you finish and you come back. But then it becomes our house, and then they still kind of get attached to that system, and then they just think that it's quite disrespectful to just walk away when they're teaching, and I mean I understand their views, but it's just depends on the word boundary. It's our house. It's like
Yeah.
it's a bit weird. I do think to have to ask like me to go to my own toilet, like
Yeah.
the. I mean, like I understand for those teachers who don't want to eat, who doesn't want us to eat in front of the camera, because it's like it's it's class time, isn't it? It's like if it's a little snacks, it's fine. Water is fine, but if you're eating literally like pat kapow, like whole meal in front of the computers, sometimes for like if you're teaching, like think of it as if you were a teacher. Sometimes it may looks disturbing, or
Right.
or
Right.
something like that. I mean that's just my opinion. It's just
Coming
it
back
just
to the point, like coming back to the point when you were talking about how like certain teachers are accustomed to like their way of doings, but I feel like some teachers are so like I feel like maybe it's because they're at this position, like because like they're at the top of like let's say they're like let's say they're like
the authority, isn't
yeah,
it?
essentially,
Yeah.
yeah.
Authority.
And like you have to show to other like to like your colleagues that hey yo look at me, look at what I'm doing, like I'm putting them straight. What are you doing? Why aren't you taking care of your students well as
Oh
you know?
yeah. That's a
And I
problem
hate
too
that.
because sometimes they have to submit their recordings to the student service or like
Yeah,
their boss. That basically,
they're
yeah,
the boss
Yeah.
exactly. They're like literally the boss.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
yeah,
boss.
and it's
It's
like
power play. It's all power.
it sometimes can be frustrating at times. Yeah, I do agree. So yeah, that's basically pretty much it for today. It's really nice to have conversation with you guys. The experiences during the first initial stages of the pandemic. So that's it for our first episode of the podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, BT Podcast. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys. Thank you guys for listening. That's better. And we'll be back at it again for the episode 2 soon. Thank you. See ya.